it's great to use AI as a tool, right? And the expression I use is go ahead and use AI, but don't let AI use you. And if you embrace it as a tool, great. If you do it as a replacement, just be careful, because AI can't experience anything. And it's that experience, that human experience, that nuance that goes between the lines, it goes into what you're creating. And without that human experience, it's just a puzzle machine. You know how it works? It does pattern recognition on letters and puts it together. Oh, that's a word. That's a phrase. That sounds what he wants. I'll go ahead and get it back. It's binary stuff. It's not intelligent yet. So it's not, and it definitely doesn't have any heart or soul, right? And no experience. So it's a great tool. I like it a lot. I can see why people get sucked into the sexiness of the speed and cost and value of it. It's just one of those slippery slopes that if you don't.
Your business's success depends on relationships with customers, relationships with employees, and relationships with stakeholders. What do they all have in common? They're all human. Because no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Welcome to the Human Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Ponto. Each week I'll bring you stories, insights, and practical advice from experts that you can apply to your growing company and daily life. This week I'm excited to connect with Doug Crowe. Doug is a personal brand specialist, publisher, and media insider who has built a remarkable career at the intersection of storytelling and business. A Northwestern University graduate with a background in radio and TV, Doug founded Author Your Brand, a ghostwriting company that has launched over 500 books to Amazon bestseller status. His client roster reads like a Fortune 500 directory, including executives from Apple, NASA, P&G, Louis Vuitton, and the NFL. As an accomplished writer himself, Doug has contributed to major publications like Entrepreneur Magazine, Chicago Tribune, and Yahoo Finance, while authoring several best-selling books. His media experience spans from hosting Chicago's first real estate radio show on ABC Radio to being featured in Bloomberg and on CBS News. Beyond his publishing success, Doug's team has facilitated over $16 billion in business transactions through mergers, acquisitions, and IPOs. When he's not helping business leaders transform their expertise into best-selling books, Doug can be found scuba diving, flying as an instrument-rated pilot, or practicing magic. He's also a devoted husband and father of three who understands that great business is ultimately about building meaningful relationships. Congrats on building meaningful relationships, and welcome to the Human Connection Podcast.
Wow, I want to meet that guy. It sounds great. Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate it. Thanks, Carl.
I'm really happy to have you on the show, and I think it's really exciting to based on your bio, is how many relationships you've built. And I think it's, given how ubiquitous AI has become in the business and the world today, how important it is to have those relationships of being more human than ever. So help us unpack that.
Yeah, I've been around quite a while. I was here for the birth of the push button phone and the internet and social media and now AI. And every time technology brings us the world faster, it somehow makes us go farther apart. It's a strange thing. We've never been more quickly connected, but more distantly relatable, right? So it's a strange dichotomy, quite frankly. But yeah, I've always been a student of marketing. I just love the psychology of marketing, and I use AI almost every day. So it's not like I'm an anti-technology person at all. It's just that as AI and AI agents get much better at replacing tasks and even employees, people have to be aware there's a few things that AI cannot and perhaps will never be able to do. So people need to be aware of that so they don't lose their humanity as a business person, as a human being. And I outline those in my TEDx talk. I can cover them point by point or however you want to flow with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's overall the idea that there's a lot of the business tasks and automation that people are using AI to speed things up or to make things more efficient. But there's this misconception that you can remove people from the equation completely or replace people with AI, and they forget that our human brains haven't changed much in the last 100,000 years, and even though technology is advanced, we're still using the same OS as like hunter-gatherer tribe days.
Yeah.
So we still need to we still do business with people with know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
And it's people, not the company. So even if you're a big B2B company, it's those individual relationships between the people that make things work, whether it's internally or externally.
Right.
And if you try and optimize things and make things faster or better without the people, you're basically cutting yourself off at the knees, because you either at some point you're going to need a skilled person who cares and can build their relationships with people,
Right.
because people aren't going to trust a chat bot or anything that's like not a human being that can relate to, and that shows them that they understand them for the business to work.
Yeah, and it's not one size fits all. You know, we ghostwrote a book for the interim CTO for Bank of America, and he told me some fascinating stories about how they were developing their expansion with the company and going to build new branches, and talk about the bank managers and the financial advisors and stuff. And he's like, hold on, who are you building these for? Because guys like my age, they're retiring and they don't need you anymore. You're talking about the younger generation, because they're much more comfortable on an app. They're not going to walk into your branch. You don't need to build any more branches. You need to have a better user experience for these people, because they're not going to want to talk to a human being to get financial things done. So in some cases, it's a great thing to automate as much as you can. In other cases, for like in the B2B experience, well, there's, data, lead generation, nurturing, conversations, and, getting a deal done. You can't automate all that, nor should you, but you want to automate the things that are automatable, lead gen, data mining, even some warm-up things for nurturing could be automated, but not everything. I mean, right now, most of us can still tell a difference reading content, like, oh my God, AI wrote this, There's a plethora of information in the realm of, I'll use these flowery words. So in some warm-up sequences, you want to have a human being there. In others, you might not need it. But you mentioned at the very point where there's a value transaction, man, I don't want to buy a car or a big investment from a robot. Not yet. Right now, I want to talk to a human being.
Yeah, I mean, there was a study, or I guess a story I saw of a company that was that had this AI sales team that basically the entire sales process was done by AI, and they got in trouble because they were showing the logos of supposedly some of their happy customers, when really as people, like the company said, oh, we just did a month trial and we didn't renew because it didn't work, because people wouldn't buy from an AI. Take our logos down. We're not your clients. And so that was a big PR disaster, because basically these companies are saying your supposed AI tool that means we don't need to hire a sales team with all the quotas and stuff, doesn't work. People don't buy from AI when it comes to these big B2B deals.
Yeah.
And it's really damning to see how misguided some of these, the overhyped some of these AI tools are when it comes to thinking that they can replace people, and compared to just trying to like automate or kind of get rid of some of the busy work, or some of the, like you said, the data collection and processing that would be rote and really mind-numbing. Take a long time. Computers are good at that. When it comes to building a relationship and closing deals and building trust and empathy and connection, you need humans there, and it's painful to see how like you said, that people get so enamored with the technology, but they forget that we're more and more disconnected on that human level. And they're trying to move things faster than our brains can actually build trust. And so that kind of paradoxically, if you want to speed up your company's growth, slow down the pace you're trying to close deals.
That's one of my favorite books.
Take the time to get to know people on that human level, and all of a sudden you'll be closing more deals and your growth rate increases, because you're actually moving at the pace that people,
It's one of my clients' book. You're not moving slow enough.
Listeners,
right? It's like, no, you're moving too fast. And you made a great point. The human brain hasn't evolved much in several 100,000 years, and we need time. I'm not going to go drop a big ticket item with you without getting to know you a little bit, and who you represent, and what you do, and what you're for, what you're against. I mean, these are important considerations. Because really a big B2B thing, it's not really a transaction. It's usually a collaboration. I'm going to give you a value exchange, money for service. But really, most B2B things, there's some intellectual things going on there. I'm consulting as I'm delivering, right? When we publish books for people, we have journalists interview the person. And yeah, you could have AI write your book. You could have give it a prompt, tell me how to do this thing. Here's my life story, like drop it in there. And it'll do a good job. Actually, I watched Simon Sinek talk about his last book. He's like, man, AI did a pretty good job. But one thing was missing. He said, I didn't have the experience of writing. And it's that experience, especially for the creatives out there. It's great to use AI as a tool, right? And the expression I use is go ahead and use AI, but don't let AI use you. And if you embrace it as a tool, great. If you do it as a replacement, just be careful, because AI can't experience anything. And it's that experience, that human experience, that nuance that goes between the lines. It goes into what you're creating. And without that human experience, it's just a puzzle machine. You know how it works? It does pattern recognition on letters and puts it together. Oh, that's a word. That's a phrase. That sounds what he wants. I'll go ahead and get it back. It's binary stuff. It's not intelligent yet. So it's not, and it definitely doesn't have any heart or soul, right? And no experience. So it's a great tool. I like it a lot. I can see why people get sucked into the sexiness of the speed and cost and value of it. It's just one of those slippery slopes that if you don't keep your humanity as a foundation, you run the risk of losing it.
And I think a lot of companies have already, in the last 20 years, they got so focused on dashboards and the metrics and overall, like, a lot of marketing is very dehumanizing towards leads and prospects and deals, and you forget that you're dealing with people.
Yeah.
And then if you don't take the time to really show you understand your audience and meet them where they are, and not are just trying to force them into the same funnel as everyone else, which basically feels like a meat grinder to them.
Exactly.
And actually, one of my previous guests has a book that's coming out about she has calls like a playground model for kind of marketing, where you're not trying to force them to a funnel, basically meeting where they are and like kind of following them around and keeping multiple touch points, but it's not about trying to force them through your prescribed funnel on your path where everyone has to go through the same situation. It's customizing the experience for them and making it something that's enjoyable and not just like, oh, it's another like newsletter that obviously the personalization is just they change the name from dear like blank insert name is to mine, but everything else is the same. It's actually like a real connection. And I think that you can, like I said, the AI tools can help make that faster and there's ways of designing the content so it's more modularized. But if you just think you can cut the humanity out of things, not have that human experience instilled in the writing, which AI can't do, like you said, then you're going to be missing out, because people can tell when there's kind of an uncanny valley of, this doesn't quite seem like it was written by a person, doesn't quite seem authentic, doesn't quite seem like it's real. And when people, if they feel that for a second, you've lost them because the trust is gone.
Yeah, right. You know, it's funny, as when it really got popular a year or so ago, as a ghostwriting company, I was a little bit nervous for a couple of weeks. And then I started using it. I'm like, oh, I felt much better. Like, but when we have, think about it. If you're a CEO of like a $50 million company, you want to get your message and your story out there. Do you want a robot to do that for you? I mean, if you're a company doing big numbers, you have probably clients who are paying you big numbers. And you mentioned hey, you know what? If they sniff that you're cutting corners, where else are you going to cut corners? If you're not going to proofread your stuff, if you're not going to take ownership of it, if you're not going to be, this is part of my TEDx talk, responsible for what you create, then it's very, very dangerous. So you got to be responsible for what you create, especially when you use AI, because it's not responsible, has no heart, has no soul, has no experience. So you've got to interject at least a thorough review, if not some curation, to make it more humanized. So we use it for title spinning, for structure, for story arcs. Here, crap this up. I used this morning to get some ideas on a follow through sequence. I was just, I had a, mind block. right? So a little bit of writer's block happens, and it helped me push through it. And then I added a bunch of stuff to it, so it'll be storyfied it because it's better telling stories than a computer. So yeah, it's an interesting times, and I think we should all embrace it, but in a tempered manner.
Yeah, there's definitely this in general in the society. People push things either into like the two extremes, or the black or white, like you got left or right, whatever. Instead of like the shades of gray, where yeah, you can use it like in some ways. Like I use it for the descriptions for the podcast. So I'll take the transcript from the podcast and then just like summarize this into a little description for the show notes, whatever. And it does it really well. I proofread it and I change a few things, but like it does that really well. It saves me a ton of time, but I'm not going to have it like write out all my LinkedIn posts for that I write about, because like then it just sounds super like robotic and uninspired, and it just wouldn't be me.
Yeah.
And the whole point of being on LinkedIn or having a presence online is to be yourself and to connect with people.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I like what you said about having, if you're a big company, especially, and you're cutting corners with your writing or your marketing, where else are you cutting corners on like on the deliverables for that your clients are paying you for? How else are you trying to kind of cheat the system, or kind of get what you want without really necessarily doing all as much work as it takes to get the real results?
Yeah.
And how does that reflect on, how's it going to make you look to the clients you already have, or the ones you're trying to appeal to? Because it's, and I don't think people get so like hyped up in the, this is really cool and new and exciting and different, that they don't think through how it reflects on them as a brand.
Yeah, on back end stuff, it's very useful. I'll give you a quick use case that I'm almost done with. But when sales teams are trying to find out how to handle objections or create the FAQs, the best source of that is their history. So what we've done is I've collated about 40 of recordings of sales calls, both good and bad, and I have the AI find the common objections, and we're creating that part of our FAQs. It can do it so much faster than a human, so it's really good for filtering, sorting, and data analysis on things like that. Even words like that, because we want to use exact words that my clients are using. Because when I use those in my copy, when they go, oh, that sounds like me, I'm like, well, it's because I've been doing this a while. I know what people like you are thinking and feeling and doing, so I'm going to use the same verbiage you do so that we relate. So it can definitely help in so many areas, both in front end as well. But we love it for our back end systems and analysis and some light copy, but always humanize that as well.
Yeah, I think it's really great at, there's so much data out there these days, and our brains we haven't evolved to process data that much. We can really only really know about 150 people in general, this like relationship, because that's like basically the average size of hunter-gatherer tribe from when our brains are like what we're at now is about 150 people. So that makes sense. But when it comes to all the data that's out there, using AI on the back end to find insights or to parse all that information and I guess for the show again, like all the captions and stuff, there's an automated tool that does that. For the program I use, takes a transcript, splits it along the time. I remember having to do that manually before. It would take forever to do all the times, like the timing for captions. Yeah, it's great on the back end stuff, but it's not something that, if you're in business and you're communicating, the point is to connect with people.
Yeah.
If it's not you putting the content out, who are they connecting with? And is it really, if you're not, how can you put your best foot forward if it's not even your foot?
Yeah. There's going to be a big resurgence in artisan work. I mean, Rolls-Royce been making cars by hand for quite a while. They're not going anywhere. They make more jet engines now, of course. But I think that everything, there's a yin and yang, and there's a swing. So as this tidal wave of AI comes out, it's not going to go away. I believe there's going to be a rise in the desire and hunger for in-person connections. And that's one of the reasons how we met on a networking community with Pantheon. And it's the reason we started our own in-person live events called the Visionaries Roundtable, where we bring 75 to 100 CEOs and founders together in a room for a couple of days just to share ideas and best practices and some deal flow as well. So it's all in person. And there's a lot of nonverbal communication that happens when you meet somebody in person.
Absolutely.
And AI cannot do that. It can analyze a photo, but I can't read a face, an energy, an attitude, none of that stuff. That's where, what's they say? We 80% of our communication is visual anyway. I mean, Zoom is okay.
It's 90, I think it's like 92% of human communication is body language or like subtext.
Right.
Yeah, and I've already seen more of a push towards people getting back, like the in-person events, and doing more, like moving away from AI for as much stuff because they're missing that authenticity and that human connection side of things. And so there's definitely more of a pushback against all AI all the time already.
Yeah. Right.
And also like the in-person events, because that's basically like the last place where like you're actually hearing what the person's really saying to you, because there's no digital.
Right. Oh my gosh. The deep fakes are so good now. I can still spot them most of the time, but I'm like, oh, if it even looks, I might be throwing the baby with the bathwater here, because sometimes like, oh, I think it is. I'm gonna listen to that thing. It could have been the real person, but now you don't know.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for connecting with me today, Doug. If you enjoyed this episode of the Human Connection Podcast, please leave a review, and share it. If you'd like to connect with myself or Doug, check out the links in the show notes. And remember, no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Happy connecting.